The sky turned black at noon. One moment, the twin suns of Virix 4 were shining. The next, thick shadows covered the land. The alien girl, Sarinex, looked up from her medkit and froze. A dark swarm filled the air above the forest. Hundreds of sharp-winged machines buzzed like angry wasps. She had never seen human ships before. No one from her planet had died in her village. The elders spoke of distant stars and species, but the humans were only rumors. Dangerous rumors. Powerful rumors. Sari grabbed her laser staff and ran. The alarm crystals blinked red in every home. Children screamed. Her people rushed toward the caves, but not everyone was fast enough. From the sky, the human dropships came down like thunder. Explosions lit the forest. Trees crashed. Fire spread across the ground. Sari's arm got caught under falling debris. A strange blue sap from a shattered tree poured over her arm, sticky like melted plastic. She screamed in pain, her skin burning, as it fused with the alien sap. She tried pulling it off, but it hardened quickly. Her fingers wouldn't move. Then she saw them, humans. Tall, armored, armed. One of them ran toward her. She raised her weapon in panic, but her arm wouldn't lift. The sap had glued her limb to the trunk. The human soldier dropped his gun. "I'm not here to hurt you," he yelled. His voice was calm, deep. His helmet retracted, revealing a sweaty, battle-worn man. He had a scar over one eye and dirt smudged across his jaw. "My name is Dr. Kyle Wren. I'm a medic." Sari hissed. "Stay back." But Kyle knelt beside her. "That sap. It's not letting go, is it?" She didn't answer. He reached into his backpack and pulled out a silver medical tool. It looked sharp. Too sharp. Sari's breath caught in her throat. "You're going to cut it off," she said, voice trembling. "You're going to amputate me." He looked at her seriously, then smiled. "Not today." Kyle scanned the wound. The sap was fused down to the bone. It had hardened like rock. But he saw something strange. The material was alien, but alive. "I've never seen anything like this," he whispered. Sari groaned in pain. Her entire shoulder felt like fire. I am ready," she said quietly. "Do it quickly." "Cut my arm." Kyle looked her in the eyes. "You don't know humans very well, do you?" "What?" "We don't give up easily." She blinked, confused. "You're stuck, yeah? But maybe we can fix this without losing your arm." From his belt, Kyle pulled out a mini-lab scanner. The device hummed and scanned the sap. "Good," he muttered. "It responds to heat and certain sound frequencies." He stood up and began building something fast. He connected wires, snapped open containers, and attached a sonic tool too. A heating coil. Sari stared at him, shocked. "You are creating something? Here? Now?" "Yep," he said, smiling without looking up. "You're lucky I used to work with alien chemicals back home." "Why?" she asked. "Because I got a bad habit of helping people I just met." All around them, the war raged on. Explosions in the distance. Screams echoed through the burning forest. But Kyle didn't stop. His hands moved fast, calm, trained. He adjusted frequencies, applied a heat pulse, and positioned the device near the hardened sap. "Hold still," he said. Sari didn't breathe. The coil glowed red. A high-pitched sound filled the air. The sap began to melt slowly but surely. The pain was intense. She bit her lip to keep from crying. Almost there, suddenly the device sparked. Kyle cursed. He banged it twice, fixed a loose wire, and rebooted it. "This is madness," Sari whispered. "You are risking your life for me." Kyle grinned. "You're not dying on my watch. We're not the monsters your people think we are." The sap finally began to drip away like wax. Her fingers twitched. Blood flowed again, and then she was free. Her arm dropped. trembling but attached. She sobbed, both from relief and pain. Kyle quickly wrapped it with nanofiber bandages. Don't move it too much. You'll heal, but it'll hurt. She looked at him, truly looked. This man had entered a war zone, risked fire, avoided orders, just to save her arm. You are different, she said softly. He smiled tiredly. Yeah, I get that a lot. A blast shook the ground nearby. Kyle turned his head. We need to go. Now? Go where? To safety. My team is close. They'll protect us. Sari hesitated. But I'm not human, he nodded. Exactly. That's why I won't leave you behind. She stood, arms still aching, and followed him into the burning forest. And for the first time in her life, Sari wasn't running from a human. She was running. With ** flames surrounded them. Thick black smoke rolled through the trees as Sari followed Kyle. Every breath burned her lungs. The ground shook with distant blasts. In the sky, drones circled like vultures, scanning for movement. Kyle raised his hand, signaling her to stop. He whispered. Look, up ahead, a patrol of armored human soldiers moved through the trees. But these weren't medics. They wore red-tinted helmets and carried plasma rifles. Their steps hard and fast. Friend or enemy? Sari asked quietly. Kyle's face was grim. Enemy. That's not my squad. That's Red Talon Unit. They don't ask questions, they shoot. Sari clenched her jaw. Why would your own people shoot you? I broke protocol, Kyle said. I disobeyed direct orders by helping an alien. She stared at him. You saved me. And now your people want to kill you? Kyle shrugged. It happens more often than you'd think. They ducked behind a thick fallen tree as the patrol moved past. Kyle pulled a small device from his belt and pressed a button. A map flickered into the air, showing nearby terrain, enemy locations, and a glowing blue dot. That's my evac point, he said. But it's 5 clicks south through enemy patrol zones. We'll never make it. We'll try. Suddenly a child's scream pierced the air. Both Kyle and Sari turned. No, Sari whispered. They found my people. Without a word, Sari ran toward the sound. Kyle cursed and followed her. They reached a clearing and saw it. A group of her kin, mostly women and younglings, had been cornered near a rock wall. Red Talon soldiers pointed their rifles at them. One soldier barked orders in a language Sari didn't know. Please, a mother cried. We are not soldiers. One of the soldiers raised his weapon to strike. Before Kyle could think, Sari charged forward with a roar. Stop! Her voice cracked like thunder. The Red Talon soldiers turned shocked. A young alien woman with glowing eyes, wounded and covered in sap burns, stood tall in front of them. One soldier aimed his rifle at her, but before he could fire, bang! Kyle tackled him from the side. Blaster fire broke out. Chaos exploded. Kyle fired his sidearm with precision, dropping 2 soldiers instantly. He shouted, Run! Get them out of here! Sari grabbed the children and pulled them behind her. Kyle moved like a blur, ducking, shooting, throwing smoke grenades. Go left, he shouted. Down the ravine. They slid down a steep slope. Kyle covered their retreat until the Red Talons pulled back, coughing from the smoke. They reached a hidden crevice between stone cliffs, where the fire hadn't reached yet. Everyone was breathing hard. Blood, smoke, fear, it was everywhere. But they were alive. Sari turned to Kyle, her voice shaking. Why would you help them? Kyle looked at her, surprised. They're civilians. That's all that matters. But they're not. Your people, he paused, then said, they are now. One of the alien children tugged at Sari's robe. Is the human a warrior? Sari nodded slowly. No. He is something greater. He is a healer, who fights when he must. Kyle gave a tired smile. We need to move. That patrol will circle back soon. One of the mothers stepped forward. We cannot go with you. Our people must find shelter. In the sacred tunnels beneath the cliffs. Kyle opened his map again. Tunnels? Can they lead to my evac zone? Sari answered, yes, but it is dangerous, old, abandoned. Still better than walking through fire. They entered the narrow cave mouth, moving deeper into the ancient tunnels of Sari's ancestors. The walls were covered in glowing blue roots. The air was cold, still, and smelled of dust and time. Kyle walked beside Sari, holding a scanner to map their path. I've seen a lot of battlefields, he said softly, but this one's different. How? Because it's not just war. It's misunderstanding, fear, orders from people who've never set foot here. Sari looked at him. You're different from other humans, he smirked. Let's hope that keeps us alive. Suddenly, the tunnel split into two paths. Kyle looked down both directions. Left or right? Sari knelt, touching the dirt. Left smells of fresh air. Right smells wrong. They turned left, but just 5 steps in, Kyle's scanner beeped. Loudly. Trap, he muttered. A faint red light appeared motion mine. Kyle's eyes widened. Everyone back now. Too late. The ground beneath Kyle gave way. He fell through, crashing into a lower level of the tunnels with a sharp thud. Kyle! Sari shouted. She dropped to her knees, peering down. He lay motionless. Asterisk. Kyle! Sari's voice echoed through the hole in the tunnel floor. There was no answer. She looked back at the others' mothers, children, elders. All of them were scared, but she didn't hesitate. She dropped her gear, slid down the edge, and disappeared. Into the darkness. The fall wasn't far, but the air below was thick and damp. Her boots landed on cold stone. Her glowing eyes scanned the chamber. Kyle? There he was lying still near a jagged rock. His helmet had cracked. Blood ran down the side of his head. One leg was twisted under him unnaturally. Sari rushed to his side. No, no, no. She placed her ear near his mouth. Faint breathing. He was alive but unconscious. She touched his leg, and he groaned. Fractured. His arm moved weakly. Sari? I'm here, she said quickly. You're hurt. Don't move. He blinked slowly, trying to focus. What happened? You fell. The ground collapsed. You hit your head? And your leg is broken. He tried to sit up but gasped in pain. Damn, I think femur, maybe tibia. Sari didn't understand the words, but she knew they meant something bad. She looked around the room. It was an old underground chamber filled with dust, stones, and ancient alien bones. Kyle, stay still. I will help you. You're not a medic, he whispered. Sari narrowed her eyes. You were not a soldier, yet you fought. Kyle smiled weakly. Touché? She pulled off his pack and searched through it. Medical tools, bandages, a pain injector. She recognized some from watching him earlier. She cleaned his head wound and sealed the cut with a dermal patch. Then she wrapped his leg tightly with brace straps. But the bone was out of place. You must be strong, she warned. What? Why? Crack. She snapped the bone back into place. Kyle let out a scream and passed out. Sari's hand shook her. People would have amputated. They feared broken limbs that couldn't heal. But Kyle had taught her something. Don't give up. After 30 minutes, he woke up again. She fed him a pain suppressor through a small injector. Thanks, he muttered, for not leaving me. I owe you my arm, she said. You gave me a new one, he replied with a weak laugh. Suddenly, she heard movement above. Stay here, she said. She climbed back up the tunnel and met the others. We cannot stay long, one of the elders said. The humans may still be chasing. Help me, she replied. We must carry him. Together, 3 villagers came down and made a stretcher from vines and metal rods. Carefully, they lifted Kyle and brought him back up. The tunnels were now colder, darker, and narrower. Every step felt heavier. Kyle gritted his teeth through the pain. "We're almost there," he said, though he could barely move. "You rest," Sari said firmly. "Let us be the strong ones now." Kyle looked at her. She had changed. The shy, panicked girl who once feared losing her arm had become a calm leader. She moved with purpose. She gave orders with courage. And she had saved him just as he had saved her. They passed old carvings on the wall, images of strange alien gods, forgotten symbols and spirals that glowed faintly. Sari whispered prayers under her breath. "What are you saying?" Kyle asked. "These are prayers to the first flame. It guided our ancestors to safety during the Great Cold." Kyle nodded. "Maybe it'll guide us now." Suddenly, a loud rumble shook the tunnel. Dust fell from the ceiling, and a deep growl echoed from the shadows ahead. Everyone froze. Sari slowly turned. The sound came again, closer, louder. Then, red eyes appeared in the dark. Out of the tunnel came a huge 6-legged beast. It had bone armor over its body and a long mouth filled with teeth. Its breath was heavy, hot, and steaming. The villagers screamed. Sari stood in front of Kyle. "No," she said. "I will not run." Kyle reached for his weapon, but his hands trembled too much. "I'll distract it," Sari whispered. "No," Kyle croaked. "You'll die." "I learned from you," she said, eyes fierce. "Sometimes we must fight, even if we're afraid." She grabbed her staff and stepped forward. The beast charged. She swung once, hard hitting. Its eye it roared and slashed. Her arm burned again as it grazed her side. But she didn't fall. Kyle, on the ground, reached for a flare from his kit. He lit it and threw it at the beast's face. Flash. The bright light blinded it for a moment. That was enough. Sari leaped forward and struck again, this time directly into its throat. The beast howled in pain and stumbled back into the darkness. Everyone stood silent for several moments. It was gone. They were alive. Kyle coughed. "Remind me not to mess with you." Sari smiled. "I told you. We don't give up either." Asterisk. They walked for hours through the tunnels. The beast was gone, but its roar still echoed in their ears. The air was cold. Every footstep sounded loud in the silence. The glowing roots on the walls dimmed as they moved deeper underground. Kyle lay on the stretcher, weak but alert. Sari walked beside him, her hand always near her staff. She checked his leg again. "Still swollen," she said softly. Kyle nodded. "But better than gone." He gave her a small smile. She returned it. One of the village children walked on the other side, staring at Kyle. "You are strange," the child said. Kyle raised an eyebrow. "Thanks. You are human. But kind. That's rare." Kyle sighed. "Yeah, I get that a lot." At last, the tunnel opened into a hidden chamber. A wide underground cave lit by natural crystals glowing blue and green. The walls shimmered. Water dripped from the ceiling into a small, clear pool. There were flat stone platforms, soft moss, and no sign of danger. Everyone stopped and looked around. "It's beautiful," someone whispered. "This was once a healing place," Sari said. "Our ancestors called it the Still Room." Kyle looked up at the high dome ceiling. "This might be the most peaceful place I've ever seen." They laid Kyle on the soft moss. One of the elders began heating herbs and mixing powders. The air filled with the scent of ancient medicine. "You rest," Sari said to Kyle. "Let me be the healer now." She sat beside him and cleaned his wounds again. Her touch was gentle. Her hands no longer shook. Kyle looked at her with quiet pride. "You've changed," he said. You changed me, she replied. You didn't just save my arm, you gave me purpose. I didn't do much, he whispered. You gave hope. That is more than most do. He looked at the glowing ceiling. If only my commanders believed in peace. Sari's expression turned serious. What will happen when you return to your people? Kyle hesitated. They might arrest me. Or court-martial me for helping the enemy. Even after everything you've done? Orders are orders, Kyle said bitterly. Sometimes helping others is the crime. Sari was silent for a while. Then maybe you should not go back. That sentence hung in the air like a strange fruit. Heavy, tempting, dangerous. Kyle blinked. What do you mean? Sari stood up and walked a few steps away. I mean, stay here, with us. With me. Kyle's heart skipped. I'm a soldier. A medic. A human, he said. I don't belong here. But you do, she whispered. You helped us when no one else would. The children trust you. I trust you. He looked down at his broken leg. I don't even know if I can walk again. Then stay until you can. She turned to face him. No more running. Suddenly, a low beep came from Kyle's wrist device. Evac beacon triggered. Shuttle arriving. In 3 hours. Everyone turned toward the sound. The humans were coming. Kyle sat up slowly. They found me. Is that good or bad? Sari asked. I don't know yet. He stared at the device. They had 3 hours before the human dropship arrived. 3 hours before everything changed again. The villagers sat quietly, waiting. Some slept. Others whispered prayers. Sari watched Kyle from a distance. He was checking his gear, thinking hard. She walked over. You have a choice, she said. You can return to your war. Or stay in peace. I wish it were that simple. She tilted her head. Why not? Because peace costs something. Too, Kyle said. Sometimes it means losing your past. Your people. Even your name. She sat beside him. Then lose what you must, but don't lose what you've become. Time passed quickly. Soon, the sound of engines filled the tunnel. The ground trembled slightly. A voice came from the device. Medic Kyle Wren, this is Command Shuttle 9. We have your beacon. Confirm location. Kyle stared at the blinking light. He didn't answer. Sari's hand touched his. You must. Choose, she said softly. Kyle took a deep breath and pressed the button. Location confirmed, but I'm not alone. The voice crackled. Define not alone, Kyle replied. Civilians, aliens, survivors. A long pause. Understood. Shuttle approaching. Prepare for extraction. He looked at Sari. Get the others ready. We're going up, she blinked. You mean all of us? Kyle nodded. If they want me, they take all of you too. She smiled slowly. You really are crazy. Maybe, but I'm done leaving people behind. Asterisk. The sound of engines grew louder. The walls of the cave trembled as dust fell. From above, the humans were here. Sari looked at Kyle. Her eyes were calm, but her heart beat like war drums. You're serious? She asked. You'll bring all of us to your people? Kyle nodded slowly. I can't promise safety, but I won't leave you behind. She looked back at her people, mothers, children, wounded elders. They were tired, afraid, but also hopeful. Bright blue light flashed at the far end of the tunnel. A wind blew in as the dropship descended. Its engines roared. A platform extended into the cave, hissing with steam. 3 human soldiers stepped out. They wore silver armor. One of them held a scanner. The others had weapons ready. Kyle raised a hand. Stand down. These are civilians. The lead soldier frowned. Command said to extract you, not a zoo. Kyle's eyes went hard. These people are with me. Another soldier stepped forward. We don't bring aliens into human zones without proper clearance. They're not enemies, Kyle said sharply. They're victims, refugees. Still not authorized. I'm not asking, Kyle said. The soldiers exchanged glances. You disobeyed orders once already, Ren, the lead man said. Now you're making it worse. Kyle walked forward slowly, limping. I saved lives. I kept your damn uniform. Clean in front of aliens. You want to court-martial me? Fine, but you take these people too. Sari stepped up beside him. Her staff glowed softly in the dim light. If your ship cannot carry hope, she said, then it carries only shame. The soldiers paused. The lead man sighed and tapped his comm. Command, this is Shuttle 9. Situation update. Medic Ren has civilians requesting permission to bring non-human survivors aboard. There was a long pause, then, permission granted. Upload full report after evac. Bring them in. The tension dropped like a stone. Kyle turned to Sari. We're going, she blinked. To your world? He nodded. To a base. From there, maybe somewhere better. The villagers hesitated. One of the elders spoke. Are we trading one? War for another? Kyle said. No, you're trading fear for a chance. That was enough. Slowly, the group began moving toward the platform. As the children climbed aboard, they gasped at the lights and machines. It was their first time seeing human tech up close. Some were scared, others excited. Kyle helped an elder sit down. Sari looked around the shuttle in awe. Everything buzzed with strange energy. This is your world's tool? She asked. He nodded. Just a small part of it. She touched a glowing panel gently. It's alive in its own way. Kyle smiled. Yeah, like you said, everything has spirit. The shuttle door closed. Inside, the engine hum grew steady. The platform retracted. The ship lifted into the air. Sari stood by the window, watching the cave vanish below. She whispered a prayer to the old gods. Beside her, Kyle sat, strapped in, his eyes closed. You okay? She asked, tired, but ready. The flight lasted only 15 minutes, but to Sari, it felt like a journey between worlds. When the ship landed, the door opened with a hiss. A new world awaited. Bright floodlights, clean steel walkways, armed guards, tall buildings that reached into the clouds. It was a human base, organized, powerful, and cold. Sari stepped out first. Many soldiers turned to look at the group. Some stared. Some whispered. Others looked confused or angry. But no one. Stop them. A tall woman in a blue coat approached. Her rank badge read Commander Voss. She stopped in front of Kyle. You brought aliens into a military zone, she said flatly. Kyle stood straight, leaning on a crutch. I brought survivors, he replied. Commander Voss looked at Sari. And you are? Sari Nex, she said. Daughter of no one. Survivor of fire. Voss turned back to Kyle. You'll face inquiry. I'll face truth, he said. Voss gave a thin smile. You've made things complicated. Better complicated than cruel. She stepped aside. Medical bay is that way? Your people will be housed temporarily in the refugee wing. You're all under watch but not under arrest, yet. Kyle exhaled in relief. Inside the base, the villagers were given clean water, food, and soft beds. Some cried. Others laughed. The children clapped at blinking lights on the walls. Sari sat quietly beside Kyle in the medical ward as his leg was scanned. Why did you fight so hard for us? She asked. Kyle looked at her. Because somewhere along the way, I forgot what medicine really means. It's not just healing wounds. It's standing against the ones who caused them. Sari took his hand gently. Then let this be your new war, not with guns, but with courage. Kyle smiled. You know, Sari. Yes? I think you just gave me a reason to stay. Asterisk. The medical scanner beeped softly. Kyle sat on a narrow bed in the base's recovery room. His leg was in a cast, suspended slightly, while a thin band of light scanned it every hour for healing progress. Sari stood near the window, staring out at the massive human base. Soldiers marched in rows, drones hovered above like watchful. Insects and tall fences shimmered with electric barriers. She had never seen a place so full of power, and so empty of feeling. It's like a giant machine, she whispered. Cold, precise, loud. Kyle nodded. That's how most human bases are. Function first, feelings later. Where is the heart in this place? Kyle smiled weakly. That's what we're trying to find. A soft chime echoed, and the door slid open. Commander Voss entered, a slim tablet in her hand. Her expression was unreadable. Kyle Ren, she said. We need to talk. Kyle sighed and sat straighter. Here it comes. Voss glanced at Sari. You may wait outside. She stays, Kyle said firmly. Voss raised an eyebrow but nodded. Very well. She tapped her tablet. You're officially under investigation for disobeying combat protocols, breaking species barrier codes, and misusing medical supplies on non-humans. Kyle stayed silent. But, Voss continued, you also saved 21 civilians, prevented a conflict escalation, and possibly opened the door to first peaceful contact with a native species. Sari looked surprised. Peaceful contact? Voss turned to her. You spoke calmly. You gave no resistance. And you saved a human's life. That makes you interesting. Kyle frowned. So what now? You're not under arrest. Voss replied, but you are under close observation. Both of you. Sari stepped forward. We are not criminals. No, Voss said, but you are unknown. And unknowns are dangerous. We saved each other, Kyle added. Yes, Voss admitted. And that makes this more complicated. She walked toward the door. For now, stay inside the civilian wing. No weapons, no wandering. And the others? Sari asked. They're being processed as refugees. They'll be safe if they follow the rules. The door slid shut behind her. Kyle leaned back. We're free. But also not. Sari nodded slowly. We are prisoners. But prisoners of peace. The next days passed slowly. Kyle's leg began healing. He moved from bed to chair. He watched training videos on his tablet and took slow walks through the halls. Sari stayed close, learning everything she could about humans. She asked questions about the machines, the drones, the food, even the chairs. Why do you eat food that comes in cubes? She asked one day. Kyle laughed. That's not food. That's survival. One night, she tasted human fruit for the foul somfort for the first time. She smiled brightly. This is sweet like sunfire berries. It's called a peach, Kyle replied. I like your peaches. Kyle blushed. But not everyone was happy with their presence. Some soldiers whispered when they passed. Some gave angry looks. One even spat near Kyle's feet. You're siding with aliens now? The soldier growled. Kyle didn't respond. He just helped Sari into the cafeteria. But he felt it. The base didn't want them there. Not all humans believed in peace. One evening, Kyle was called to the command room. He entered on crutches, with Sari walking beside him. Inside, 3 senior officers and Commander Voss waited. A hologram showed maps, graphs, and a growing red line across alien territory. Voss pointed. Our scouts report enemy movement. Someone is arming the native tribes. Not Sari's people, others. Kyle frowned. What does this have to do with us? Voss looked straight at Sari. We need a guide. Someone who knows the land. Someone who can talk to them before war begins. You want to use her? Kyle snapped. She's not a tool. Voss raised a hand. I'm asking for her help. If she refuses, we'll send soldiers. And war will follow. Silence filled the room. Sari looked at Kyle. I said I would follow you, she whispered. But maybe now, you must follow me. Kyle clenched his jaw. This could be dangerous. Not could, Sari said. Will. Kyle turned to Voss. If she goes, I go. You can't walk far. Then I'll crawl. Later that night, as they prepared their gear, Sari placed a hand on Kyle's shoulder. You helped me believe in healing, she said. Now let me show your people that not all aliens are enemies. Kyle looked at her, filled with pride and fear. You're becoming the hope I never thought I'd find out here. And you, she said gently, are still the stubborn healer who refused to give up. Outside, a human shuttle waited in the dark, engines humming low. Sari and Kyle stepped inside, not as enemies, not as prisoners, but as something new. As a human and an alien. On a mission to stop the next war before it begins. Asterisk. The human shuttle flew low, just above the alien forest. Below. Glowing trees and strange rock pillars lit up the land in soft green and purple shades. Sari sat near the front, her eyes fixed on the window. Kyle sat beside her, legs still bandaged, hands gripping the edge of his seat. This time, they were not fleeing. This time, they were going straight into danger together. You sure about this? Kyle asked quietly. Sari nodded. If we don't speak first, your soldiers will shoot first. And if they don't listen? She looked at him with calm fire. Then I will make them listen. They landed in a wide clearing outside. A mountain pass. Ancient statues, half buried in moss, marked the path forward. Waiting in the trees were figures tall, armored aliens with bone weapons and glowing masks. The mountain tribes, the fiercest of Sari's kind. Kyle stepped down slowly. Crutch under one arm, blaster strapped loosely to his side, not drawn. Sari walked ahead, holding no weapon at all. The alien warriors didn't move. Then, one of them stepped forward. He was massive, nearly 7 feet tall, with black markings across his chest. His mask had horns and his voice was like thunder. Why do you walk with the enemy, daughter of dust? Sari bowed her head. Because this enemy saved me when even my own people would have let me die. Murmurs rippled through the warriors. The chief narrowed his glowing eyes. You bring him here to spy? No, Sari said clearly. I bring him to speak. The chief looked at Kyle. You are weak. Broken. Why should we listen to you? Kyle stepped forward despite the pain. Because I don't want to kill your people. Yet your kind drops fire from the skies. Kyle didn't flinch. Yes, and many of us hate that. But I didn't come here as a soldier. I came as a healer. I came as her friend. He looked at Sari. She believed in me. I'm asking you to believe in her. The chief raised a clawed hand. If you lie, you both die. They were led into the mountain camp. Inside a vast cave, hundreds of alien warriors gathered. Torches lit the room. Painted symbols danced across the walls. Sari and Kyle stood on a raised stone platform while the leaders surrounded them. This is where words become arrows, Sari whispered. Kyle chuckled. Remind me again why I came? Because you have no quit, she smiled. He nodded. Fair. The chief stood before the crowd. These humans came to our world uninvited, he shouted. They burn our trees. They poison our skies. Now they come begging for peace. The crowd hissed. But this female, she is one of us. Her voice matters. He stepped back and pointed at Sari. Speak. Sari took a deep breath and raised her voice. I was hurt in the fire. Trapped. My arm sealed by burning sap. My people left me. The warriors murmured. But a human came. Not with a blade, but with healing. He refused to cut. He saved. He protected. And when we were hunted, he stood between us and his own. She paused. You speak of enemies. But I have seen enemy become family. The cave grew quiet. All eyes turned to Kyle. He limped forward. I've seen war, he said. I've seen good people die for stupid reasons. I don't want more of that. If your people rise with weapons, my side will answer with bombs. It will not be a fight. It will be a massacre. He looked around. But I don't want that. And I don't think you do either. He took a deep breath. Let me be your voice. Let sorry be your bridge. Let's try peace before we taste blood. The chief stared at both of them. Then he removed his mask. A long scar ran down his face. Years ago, he said, a human drone killed my brother. I swore I'd never speak to your kind, but now. He looked at Sari. I see something I cannot ignore. He raised his arm. We will not attack first. We will wait. We will listen. Relief swept through the cave like a soft wind. It was not a full peace, but it was the start of one. Later that night, around a quiet fire, Kyle and Sari sat under the stars. You were incredible, Kyle said. Sari smiled. I learned from a stubborn human who never quit. He chuckled. That guy sounds like trouble. Big trouble, she said gently. They sat in silence. Then Kyle asked, what happens now? Sari looked up at the stars. We go back. We tell your leaders the truth. Then we pray they listen. Kyle nodded slowly. And if they don't? She turned to him. Then we keep fighting. For peace. Asterisk. The shuttle returned at dawn. The human base came into view. Steel towers, blinking lights, and soldiers already lining the landing pad. Kyle and Sari stood side by side, quiet but ready. Are you sure about this? Sari asked. No. Kyle said honestly. But truth has to be told. She nodded. Then let us tell it together. As the shuttle doors opened, the bright light of the base flooded in. Commander Voss waited at the front, arms crossed, surrounded by security. She didn't smile. Back so soon? Kyle stepped out first, using his crutch. We spoke to the tribes. Sari followed him, holding her head high. Voss raised an eyebrow. And? They will not attack, Kyle said. They agreed to peace, but they want respect. A voice, a future. Voss's eyes narrowed. And what did it cost us? Nothing, Kyle said. Yet. Voss turned and motioned for them to follow. Inside the command building, the lights were dim and the room full of top officers. A large screen showed alien territory, marked in red. Kyle and Sari stood before them like suspects on trial. A general leaned forward. You're telling us these mountain tribes, a known warrior, Caste want peace? Kyle nodded. Yes, sir. They only want to protect their land. They killed 10 of our men last month because we bombed their sacred site. The room went quiet. Sari stepped forward. Your weapons fell from the sky without warning. My people did not even know your names. All they saw was fire. She looked at each officer. But we know now. We know one of you refused to let fear win. We know peace is possible. One officer scoffed. And we should just trust them? Kyle took a breath. You trusted me once on battlefields and war zones with lives. I'm still that man. And I'm telling you, if you push forward, it'll be a bloodbath. Voss watched him closely. You're asking us to stand down? No, Kyle said. I'm asking you to stand up for a better future. The officers whispered among themselves. Then the general spoke again. We'll need proof. Formal talks. Safe grounds. Kyle nodded. We can arrange it. And if the aliens betray us? Sari spoke clearly. Then I will stand in the middle. I will be your proof of good faith. Voss stared at her. You'd risk your life. Like that? I already have. Hours later, Kyle and Sari sat on a bench outside the command hall. The sky was gray. Soldiers passed by without speaking to them. Kyle leaned back. That could have gone worse, Sari smiled. We're still alive. He laughed softly. Just then, a soldier approached them, a younger man in armor, eyes suspicious. You really trust her? He asked Kyle. An alien? Kyle looked him in the eye. She saved my life. That's more than I can say about some humans. The soldier hesitated, then nodded and walked away. Small progress. Later that night, alarms blared. Unauthorized. Blast Sector 7. Kyle grabbed his crutch. Sari was already running ahead. They reached the south gate of the base. Smoke filled the air. A transport vehicle had been bomb-flipped onto its side, flames bursting from its roof. Kyle limped closer and saw something that chilled his blood. Spray painted. On the wall nearby, no peace with aliens. A hate attack. From within their own people. Sari stared at the message in silence. Kyle's fists clenched. It wasn't the tribes. This was done by one of ours. Fear, Sari whispered. It grows faster than hope. Commander Voss arrived, shouting orders. She turned to Kyle and Sari. We have a problem. Someone inside doesn't want peace. They're trying to start a war now. The next day, Voss called an emergency meeting. We have 48 hours to prepare a peace meeting in neutral ground, she said. But if this sabotage continues, the generals will shut it down. Kyle looked at Sari. We have to act fast. I know a place, Sari said. The Valley of Echoes. It is sacred to both sides. And neutral, Voss nodded. Good. You'll go ahead and prepare it. If anything goes wrong, the meeting's off. As the shuttle rose into the sky again, Kyle and Sari watched the base disappear behind them. This time, they weren't just returning to alien land. They were carrying a message. Peace is possible, but it must survive the fire first. The Valley of Echoes was quiet. Mist rolled over green stones. Wind whistled through the rocks like a ghost's breath. The valley sat between two worlds, human machines to the west, alien mountains to the east. Sari stood at the center, her robes flowing in the wind. Beside her, Kyle adjusted his arm sling and looked toward the sky. They'll come, he said. They must, she replied. This is our last chance. Hours passed. Then, from the east, shapes appeared, tall, strong alien warriors in bone armor, led by the mountain chief. He walked slowly, his mask in his hand as a sign of trust. From the west, human dropships arrived. Commander Voss led the team, walking ahead of soldiers who stayed far behind. Two sides. 1. Gold. No trust yet. Voss stood opposite the alien chief. The wind carried silence between them. Kyle stepped forward first. Thank you all for coming. No weapons. No lies. Just words, the chief growled. The humans bombed us. Voss replied, and you killed our scouts. But today, we choose to stop the cycle. Sari raised her hand. If we fail now, she said, our children will fight where we stand. Let this place become more than bones and fire. The chief narrowed his eyes. What do you offer? Voss replied, territory limits, medical help, no more dropships near sacred lands. We will respect your space if you respect our peace. He grunted. And how do we know you won't break your word? Kyle took off his jacket. Underneath was a long scar on his side, still healing. I carry the proof on my body, he said. And in my heart, Sari stood beside him. And I carry it in my soul. The chief looked to his warriors. Then to Sari. You risked death to help him. Then risked war to save peace. That is a warrior I respect. He turned to Voss. You respect her? I do now, Voss said. And that means I might be ready to respect you. The chief slowly knelt and placed his blade in the grass. Then let this valley remember. War came close, but peace was louder. The moment was real. No explosion. No betrayal. Just stillness. And the sound of something new. Hope. Later, as the peace papers were signed, Kyle sat beside Sari near a small fire. Soldiers and aliens talked in the distance, not as enemies, but as neighbors. You did it, Kyle whispered. She shook her head. We did it. He looked at her hand. You never told me? How's the arm? She flexed her fingers. It aches sometimes. But it's alive, like me. He smiled. I'm glad I didn't give up on it. You didn't just save my arm, she said. You saved a path, a future. A soft breeze passed between them. Sari turned to him. What will you do now? I don't know, Kyle said. Maybe help build something, not destroy it. And me? She asked. He smiled. You'll lead your people. Show them that peace can be stronger than war. She touched his shoulder gently. You'll walk beside me? If you'll have me. Their hands met, no longer healer and patient, no longer alien and human. Just two souls who chose not to give up. Not on each other, not on peace.